no, I'm not a hockey expert.
Rockford's GM, Mark Bernard, is on the bench. Why is Mark Bernard on the bench?
As many of you know, I was an enforcer for the Rockford IceHogs.
Stand proud, Rockford! You have a hockey champion!
Hi there, and welcome into our 10th episode of Hog Talk, the official podcast for the Rockford IceHogs. I'm team broadcaster Mike Folta, and our guest for today's episode is Mike Hardman, forward for the Hogs, who leads the club with 15 goals as we record this right now. And we're recording this here in the Tom Curvers Memorial Press Box here at Wells Fargo Arena in downtown Des Moines. The IceHogs are currently on the road prepping for a game on Wednesday night against the Iowa Wild. Rockford lost 3-1 here in Des Moines on Monday, but giving you a little bit of an inside look, little inside baseball here for you. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see behind me I have my mixer board. This is what I have right next to me when I'm on the call, and when you're listening on AHL TV or Mixler or the 365, I'm adjusting some of the audio levels right here, or muting myself or what have you, changing to commercial, things like that. And if you're also watching on YouTube, I have this box behind me. I'll turn it on right now for you. But this box, it's very special. It's worth more than my life, and it connects us to the WIFR studios, which allows us to broadcast the games on 19.2, the 365. So that's how a lot of you in the state line are able to consume the games when you're not at the games themselves. But it's a busy week here for the IceHogs. 2 games on the road in Iowa, then a couple of games as well at home back at the BMO Center. We have Military Appreciation Night on Friday, and then a Lucas Reichel bobblehead giveaway on Saturday. And coincidentally, Reichel happened to get sent down to Rockford from Chicago this past Sunday. So Reichel played his first IceHogs game of the season on Monday against Iowa. He's trying to get some more touches of the puck, get some confidence back after a rough stretch with the Blackhawks in Chicago. But we have a really fun chat with Mike Hardman coming up. Last Friday, we had history when Jackson Stauber became the first ever AHL goaltender to record a goal and a shutout in the same game. An incredible night at the BMO Center. And Jackson's dad, Rob, was in attendance as well. Of course, Rob Stauber, former NHL goalie in his own right, former AHL goalie as well. He scored a goalie goal with the Rochester Americans back in the 95-96 season. So just a crazy confluence of events coming together on Taylor Swift night, no doubt. Stauber, a big Swiftie, and we were using him for a lot of the in-game promotions and video board fun games and things like that. He was right in the thick of things, both on the ice and on the video board as well. It felt like that night was all about Jackson Stauber. But our guest here again today is Mike Hardman, who has 15 tucks on the year. He scored in Rockford's last game on Monday. He has been red hot. We have a great chat with him. We go into everything from living with Ryder Rolston and Drew Comesso to signing his first NHL contract and everything in between. So a fun chat with Hardy is coming up here on episode 10 of Hog Talk. And we welcome in IceHogs forward Mike Hardman to this episode of Hog Talk. Hardy, first question I have here on my list, why do you think BC has struggled so much in the Beanpot these last couple of years?
Wow, that's a tough opening question there. That is crazy. Yeah, I know. I mean, I think that it's a hard tournament to win. I don't think it really matters like what seed you are before that. Just any team can obviously win. And yeah, I mean, like my freshman year, we played BU in the opening round, lost in double overtime, and then my sophomore year, it was COVID year, so it was canceled. But I know, obviously, like 2 weeks ago, watching the Beanpot, and it was a tough loss. But hopefully they can win the Hockey East and hopefully the national championship. So we'll see.
I was going back and looking at highlights of that game from your freshman year. You guys go up by a couple goals early. Then you was it you guys that tied the game late to force OT?
We tied with like a minute left, and then we lost in double overtime. But yeah, it was just like we were up by a couple goals, and then they scored a couple to go up, and then it was just a crazy game, and still kind of bitter about it. So yeah,
there's some high profile names in that game along with yourself. You had guys like Trevor Zegras in there, and then was that with Matt Boldy and Alex Newhook? Were they with you that year as well? I believe, right?
Yeah. We had a really good team, like just like top to bottom. Like we had our like senior depth was great too. We have a lot of like seniors that play in the American League now, and then We had Spencer Knight as our goalie as well. So, I mean, it was just a really, really fun team, and I think it was disappointing. Like when COVID shut our season down, we were on like a 9-game winning streak going into the playoffs, and then, NCAA shut down our season. So it was kind of brutal, but we were able to make it pretty far my sophomore year, but. Still kind of bothers me a little bit. I just hopefully, I think we could have went all the way, but guess we'll never know.
I'm just going to keep digging the knife and twisting it a little bit here.
This is legit wild.
But wanted to ask, like, how heartbreaking was it as a Boston kid in the Garden, and such an emotional game, that double overtime contest?
No, it was crazy because my grandfather actually went to BU. He was a captain there in his senior year, and growing up, I was a huge BU fan. And then like my last year juniors in West Kelowna, I remember touring both BU and BC, and all my buddies and like all my family members were like, "Oh, I don't even know why he's going on the BC visit. Like he's going to BU." And I honestly just like went to BC first, and I absolutely fell in love with it. Like just the campus, the hockey facilities, and like the coaches were unreal. Like, Coach York, Mike Ayers, Brendan Buckley. So, I mean, it was just like, I just kind of felt like at home there. And then I went to BU, and BU was great too, but I felt like, I honestly just like BC better. And I remember calling like my mom, my dad about it, and they were like, yeah, I mean, it's your decision, but like your whole life you want to you want to go to BU. But I mean, no, I'm really happy I chose BC. Like I just made so many friends there, and we had 2 really good teams when I was there too. So I'm pretty pumped that I made that decision.
Now, I think I read in the Patriot Ledger local newspaper there. Were you originally committed to Union?
Yeah, I was. I committed to Union when I was a senior in high school. I mean, it's just my
BC offer more NIL.
No, NIL wasn't a thing. Which is tough, but no, I honestly like I didn't really have a lot of like college interests like in high school. My first college I talked to was in my senior year of high school, and I kind of nerded.
And is that later in the process than most?
Yeah, for sure, because like all like my buddies were like committed at like 15, 16, and I didn't really know. I was like, I might go just like Division III or whatever, and my senior year, I kind of had like a breakout year where I was just playing a lot more and like, having success. And then there's a couple schools. I remember it being Union, UConn, and UMass Lowell that were like interested in me or whatever. And I actually came down Union and UMass Lowell, and same thing. I just like toured Union, and I loved the campus. And at the time, it was they didn't give scholarships. It was just financial aid based, because it used to be in the Ivy League, I'm pretty sure, and Ivy Leagues don't give athletic scholarships.
Right.
And so I was committed there for a couple of years, and no, I mean, like the coaching staff there was great. Like they were, they helped me through a lot. Like when I was in juniors, and my last year in West Kelowna, my mom just got like a new job where she was making more money, and so like my financial aid just like went up, and like when I was applying there, like just like the money that I was supposed to pay like went up. I forget what it was, whatever, but so my parents were just like, oh, like, do you think like I remember like my advisor at the time, I was just like, do you think like I would get like a scholarship somewhere? And he was like, yeah, I think so. So this
is while you were playing in juniors.
I was playing in West Kelowna, yeah. So he was just saying like, yeah, I think someone would give you a scholarship, whatever. Like, and we were not thinking like BC or BU. We were thinking like maybe like a lower end school. And I decommitted, and I remember, I think I decommitted at like called like Rick Bennett, that head coach at Union at the time, at like 8 a.m. And I got a call from like Michigan at like 11, offered me a scholarship. So I was pretty pumped, and
things happened pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Huh?
And but yeah, no, I mean there was a lot of schools that kind of came out of the woodwork, but I knew like I wanted to stay at home. I wanted to go to a hockey school, and it came down to BC, BU, and UNH. And I think just being a Boston guy and growing up going to the Bean Pots and watching like both those schools, BC and BU, like winning, and I mean I kind of was just an easy decision for me to kind of pick one of those schools, and obviously picked BC, and I'm really happy that I chose there.
Now, you changed high schools in the middle of your high school career,
Yeah.
right? What was the reasoning behind that?
It was a hockey decision. I think, so I went to Severian, which was a great school near where I grew up, and it's a Catholic school, so you're playing like public schools and other Catholic schools, and I think a lot of like recruiting out of Massachusetts is more like prep school based. So I actually had a few buddies that were going to Winchendon, and I love the coach there, Jared Sampson, and the other coach, Brian Troy. They're both not there anymore, but I talked to them like weekly, and it's just like I think another fit where I toured the school, and obviously my buddies were going there too. So I think just like having a school that I had like friends that were there, and like they were just saying like how it's a good fit. And my senior year, we actually had a really good team, and we made it to the semifinals of the large school prep school playoffs, and we ended up losing. But no, I think just it kind of helped me mature as a player, but also a guy. I think moving away from home at 16, it's not the easiest thing. And no, I mean, just looking back, I was an absolute mess. I just couldn't even do laundry back then. I still can't do laundry, but no, I mean, it was a good thing for me to go and live away from home and kind of just grow up a little bit.
Well, talking about living away from home, you moved away from the Boston area your first year of juniors out in Des Moines. What was that culture shock like?
Wow. Yeah, that was crazy. So I had a great Bill family, Tim and Lori Wormers. Still talk to them. They actually live, they actually just moved to Waterloo, but they lived in Des Moines. So when we played the Wild, like the past couple of years, they'd go to the games, but it was crazy. Like I remember just like moving there, and I actually lived with another guy, Jake Kucharski, and I couldn't cook at all. I still can't really cook, but I remember them just being away and like trying to make like pasta for pregame, and it was just an absolute nightmare. So, but yeah, no, I think just living with that family, they taught me so much. But I remember like just like the state, like I remember moving there, and like I had my car obviously, and like you can't, when you're like parking on the side of the road, you have to park a certain way. Like in Boston, you can just pull up and park like any direction, but in Iowa, like you can get a ticket for that. So I had a couple tickets.
Wait, you're telling me in Boston, like on the right side of the road, you have people facing
I'm saying like in a neighborhood.
Okay.
Like, so you know how like you can.
Oh, sure. There shouldn't be any rules for that,
exactly,
right?
Yeah, but like in Iowa, I parked my car like the wrong way, and I got like a couple tickets where my mom was pretty pissed at me for. So, but I was just like, this is not like in Massachusetts. That's not a thing. So there was like little things that I picked up on, but yeah, it was I mean, everyone gives Des Moines a bad rep. Like it's actually a great city.
I mean, we know that from going there
exactly.
and playing there several times
and even
a year.
like, I mean, in Iowa, there's a couple like tough cities like Cedar Rapids or like Waterloo.
You say tough, there's just not a lot going on.
No,
right?
there's just nothing to really do, right? Like it's just, but like Des Moines, there's like so much to do there. There's like great restaurants. I mean, I remember there was a great mall like 10 minutes from my place. We'd always go to the good like movie theater and stuff. So I think Des Moines is a top 3 USHL city.
How much did you think you grew that first year, kind of like moving away from home, right? And jumping into the USHL.
Yeah, I think it was really important for me to play that year, and like I think just it's a great league, and but I think just on and off the ice, it just helped me become a better person, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I think just like it was a great league, whatever. But I think that move to the BCHL the second year, it was a weird thing because like our whole coaching staff got fired. Our GM / head coach Dave Allison, who recruited me to Des Moines, he got fired, and like I loved Dave. Dave actually knows Nighty too, Jared Nightingale. So we always talk about Dave still to this day. But he like really believed in me, and he played me a lot that year. And we had a pretty tough team. Like we were second to last in the league. So when they fired him, they kind of just like cleared house, and the new coach came in, and I don't know. I didn't think I wanted to be like a top guy on the junior team going into my second year, because I knew that second year was huge for me, because I knew I was going to go into college the following year.
It's a big recruiting year.
Absolutely.
It's like a contract year,
yeah,
basically.
and like I mean, I was still committed to Union, but they're Union, like at the time they recruited heavily out of the BCHL. So they were like, hey, like you can, ask for a trade or go to the BCHL, like whatever you want to do. So I was like, okay, well, I'll talk to a few BCHL teams, see what they say. And West Kelowna came knocking, and I literally, like, the first time I talked to the head coach there, Ryland Furster, I remember just like Googling like Kelowna, British Columbia. I'm like, oh my God, like this place looks unbelievable. And like, it really was. Like, the city there is sick. And you have the Kelowna Rockets there too. You have a bunch of cool restaurants downtown, and just like my living situation there, like my billets, Scotty and Kim Tipton, they were awesome. And I lived like on a mountain, like literally like could see like the whole city. Like
Not bad for an 18-year-old kid.
I was
right?
so spoiled that year. And like Scotty and my billet dad made like the best dinners of all time. Like, so yeah, I was super spoiled, and I think it was just a good year for me on and off the ice. I just had a great billet situation, and then hockey that year was a lot of fun too. So
because of your limitations, were you like interviewing billets? Like, hey, what are you guys like in the kitchen? Like,
No.
Can you guys make good food?
I honestly,
I can't.
Yeah, I can't do any of that stuff, and I still get chirped from my roommates Ryder and Drew Comesso for not cooking this year. So that's a bit of an issue. But no, I mean, I remember just showing up, and I woke up one morning for the first practice of the year. And like, I had one of the best breakfasts I've ever had. It was like eggs, bacon, sausage. I'm like, this is gonna be a fun year. I might have gained 30 pounds that year. But
you remember that one breakfast, huh?
Oh yeah. I was, but I loved food back then. I was a little fat kid, and so it was fun. But I mean, and then Scotty also made like a great buffalo chicken flatbread that I still talk to him about. So I'm actually going to Ian Mitchell's wedding in Kelowna this summer, and I told Scotty, I need one of those flatbreads for when I come back. So,
man, his culinary expertise left an impression on
absolutely.
you.
It was, but I miss it. It was such a. It's tough that it's so far away from Boston. It takes like a full day to get out there, which is tough. But I mean, I'm super excited to go back this summer just to like experience like just like the summer there. I heard like I got there like in late August, but I heard there's a lot of NHL guys that train there, and they said it's sick for like like water sports and stuff, being on the beach. So it should be a pretty fun time.
How do we get you to bring back the hair that you had in the USHL? I don't know if you had it in the BCHL.
Greasy. But I had it for a little bit in the BCHL, but just I don't know why I even it was just a mop. Like, I don't even know why I even had that.
If anyone could go back and find Mike Hardman highlights from his Des Moines Buccaneers days, I highly encourage it.
Well, how about
it's amazing.
My Elite Prospects photo, I still have like the lettuce.
Do you really? No, I don't think so.
If you look at my Elite Prospects page, like my photo, it's me like in warm-ups, and I got some pretty good lettuce. I hate to like humble brag, but I mean so Jared Nightingale, actually our assistant coach, he coached in Omaha the year I was in Des Moines. And he still chirped me for like my Under Armour I wore. I wore like a white like turtleneck, and he's still
like the cold gear.
Yeah,
or something?
like you remember like Mike Camilleri, like back in the day with the Canadians, he wore like a little turtleneck. I thought it was so sick, so I wore that, and he's like, you looked like the biggest idiot out there, like with the turtleneck. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I had the hair like in prep school, and then I thought I looked good. I looked brutal, but I actually went to BC and.
They told you to get rid of that.
Well, Coach York has a rule that you can't have any facial hair or like hair past your collar. So,
is this the Yankees here?
Hey, he won, and he was the boss. So I mean, but I was okay with it because I'm like, just looking at old photos, it's probably good. But
so you committed there knowing that rule, obviously, and you just like, all right, my days of being a weapon are over.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I remember I showed up for like my visit, and he was like, the one thing he said to me, he was like, hey, if you come here next year, like no facial hair, no hair, no long hair. So I didn't really have facial hair. I couldn't really grow facial hair back then, but the hair was tough. But no, I honestly, like after I went to BC, I just been going with the short hair look, and I mean, yeah, I think I look better, but I'm not really sure if I do.
So I wanted to ask about you mentioned your grandfather as well.
Yeah.
Is Sylvia, Bob?
Yes, Bob Sylvia,
So did he ever coach you? Because I know he's a legendary coach in the Boston area.
Yeah, he coached at Quincy High for like 43 years. So Quincy's like a town like right outside Boston. But yeah, he never coached me. I think he was just like growing up, he was still coaching and coaching high school, but he was great. Like he got me into hockey. Like my dad grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio, and he was a football guy. And then he met my mom in the military. My mom was a nurse in the Army, and my dad was in the Marines, so that's how they met. And so my dad knew nothing about hockey, and but obviously, like in Massachusetts, like hockey's pretty big. And so I got into hockey from him, and he literally like came to like most of my games growing up. And it's pretty crazy. Like in juniors, like the West Kelowna year, like the time change is like 3 hours behind. So like games were like, it was 7 p.m. game in West Kelowna. It was 10 p.m. back home. And like my grandma would like text me and be like, hey, like Grumpy was, we call him Grumpy. That's his name that all the grandkids call him. But she was like, he was up till 2 watching your game last night. Like, I'm like, oh my God. And like, so like he still my aunts and uncles like still text me. They're like, yeah, like Grumpy was pissed at that call last night. Like that ref was brutal. So like, it's just like he's followed my career, like, a lot. And like, it was pretty emotional, like signing my first NHL contract. Like, he's been through it all with me, and like there was definitely some happy tears, and then like him coming to my first NHL game was pretty cool too. And but yeah, no, I mean he's like without him, I don't think I'm here right now playing pro, and I'm probably not playing D1 hockey either. So yeah, he's a guy that I looked up to my whole life, and yeah, I'm really happy that he's still like following my career, and it's been great.
Well, and what's cool too is that your first few NHL games would have been during COVID, right?
Yes.
And so like him being a grandfather, being an older guy,
absolutely.
like was that difficult for him to make it out to those?
He wasn't going to miss that game. I'll tell you that. He would have done anything. He would have drove the 17 hours to make that game, knowing him. But no, I mean the Hawks were great. Like they. Part of my contract, they allowed like my parents and my grandparents to come to the game, and it was weird because like there's no fans at the game. My first Tampa, but they gave like my family like a box in the rink. So no, I mean I definitely wanted my parents and my grandparents there, because without them, there's no way I'm here. Obviously, like they made so many sacrifices for me to be able to play hockey, and I'm very grateful for. But yeah, that was really cool. Like seeing my dad after, he was pumped. I think he might have had a few beers in the press box because he was.
'Cause why not? Right?
Yeah, exactly. He definitely looked a little buzzed for sure, but no, he was pumped, and like just to see him, like just a guy that. He's been with me my whole career too. Like going on, you look back on all these tournaments you go to as a kid, and your end goal is to play D1 or go to the NHL. And just I remember after my first game, like just hugging him, whatever, and he's like, you made it. And I like looking back on it, it's like, oh, well, like he was like, you could not play hockey ever again, and you could say you played in the NHL, which is pretty cool. And yeah, no, I mean, both my mom and dad have been great for me, and they still are. And yeah, no, they're actually, I'm excited to see them. They're coming for that the Parents Weekend in San Jose, so that should be pretty cool.
Oh, coming up in March here.
Yes, yeah. Okay. So all of our parents most guys' parents are coming, so that should be pretty fun. Like just to meet all the boys, like mom and dad and stuff. So it should be awesome.
Your dad is also Mike.
Yes.
Right? So are you a junior or the second?
No. His middle name is William, and mine's Robert. So. Oh,
that counts as splitting them up, like.
Well, yeah. Well, usually the juniors have like the same middle name.
Really?
I mean, yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's crazy. You're asking that. Yeah, I'd usually like Gusty. He's a junior because his dad is the same name, middle name, whatever. So, and I think he's. I shouldn't say it, but I'll say it now.
We'll cut it if we have to.
Yeah, but he's. I mean, if he ever has a boy, with his wife Lexi, like I think they're trying to name him Dave, like for like the third. So that'd be pretty cool. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, I didn't know that about the middle name, so thank you for educating me.
I keep telling them that if they have a boy, it should be Mikey Goss. So Mikey Goss would be a sick name. Get this
Two first names?
Get this in the Twitter. Yeah. No, I'm saying if they have another boy, like if they have like a third.
Oh, Mikey. Okay, I see what you're saying.
If they have a third child and it's a boy, Mikey Goss would be a sick name.
Oh, That kid could wheel.
He would wheel, and he'd probably go to BC. I would recruit him. I'd be the coach at BC. I'd recruit Mikey Guss. So hopefully that happens.
I was reading that you and your dad, when you signed with the Blackhawks, drove through the night to get out to Chicago. What was that
it's
like?
A crazy story. So so when I signed up the Hawks, I drove home. My agent Jerry Buckley, he called me. He's like, "Hey, like we're gonna sign the contract at your house you grew up in," which was pretty cool. So I was like, I was thinking it was just gonna be me, my mom, my dad, sister, and then Jerry. And I show up, and there's literally like cars like all down the street. So I'm like, what's going on here? So my mom invited like all like the whole family there, a bunch of like friends, whatever, all my buddies were there. So that was really cool. Signed my first NHL deal with like all the people that I've been with my whole life. And then so after, like, my mom was like, yeah, shower up, we're gonna go to dinner. We're going to some really, really good restaurant back home in Hanover, Mass, called Alba. So we went to Alba, me and my mom had dinner, whatever. And then on the way back, my dad was like, "Are you all packed?" And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, "We're driving tonight." And I'm like, "Dad, what are you talking about?" My dad he was so like, he's so crazy where he's like, "We're going right now." I was all packed up, whatever. So I go home, put on some sweats on, whatever. And then we drove through the night. We did like a rental car, and then it was 16 hours. And my dad basically had like 9 coffees, and I slept like most of the way. So it was kind of easy for me. But yeah, my dad listened to a few, Spit and Chicklets podcast. He's a big Spit and Chicklets guy. So listened to a few podcasts, and then, and then in the morning he made a few calls to buddies and stuff. So, but it was pretty cool. I think it brought us back to like the youth hockey tournaments. Like we drove to a couple, like we went to Detroit, which was a far one. We drove to that one, and then went to a few in Niagara Falls, Toronto, Montreal. So like, I think just like he was saying, he was like, yeah, it's like the last. He kept saying it's like, oh, it's like that. It's bringing me back to like youth hockey days, like last rodeo. So I'm like, hey, like
the last time he was going to drive you
exactly,
somewhere.
yeah. And also like it was during COVID, so if I flew, I would have had a quarantine for like 14 days. So they're like, it's either 7 days in the car or 14 in the plane. I'm like, I'll probably just take the 7 and drive, because if anyone knows me, I can't be in a hotel room by myself for more than an hour. So so that it was a lot of fun, and looking back on it, like it was pretty special to do that.
Well, props to your dad for making that trip, because it's an emotional day, right?
Yeah, but he's a state trooper. He drives a lot, but yeah, no, it was definitely an emotional day. But I think he wanted to drive out there with me and like help me set up, whatever. So it was pretty cool to do that.
So that was in the 2021 season,
yes,
right? So I kind of wanted to ask about, spending the 2 years at BC. Mm-hmm. Was that just the point in your college career where you were starting to get NHL interest, and that's why you turned pro then, or did it just feel natural to transition?
I got interested my freshman year.
Okay.
But I didn't want to come out freshman year. I thought like I needed to go back for another year, which I did for sure. And also, like, I think that it was a kind of a brutal end of the year where we didn't get to play playoffs, and I was just like, I want to go back. And basically our whole team was coming back. Like, no one signed early or anything. So I thought we had a really good shot of going all the way, which we almost did, whatever. But yeah, no, I think that it was just a weird time. Like, it was just, I didn't really know what was going on, like, in the world. So I was just like, yeah. And also, like, I'm a couple classes away from graduating. That's my bad for graduating while playing pro. But yeah, no, I think that I definitely wanted to like get closer to my degree, and so yeah, I'm happy that I went back for a second year.
And then you joined the taxi squad, right? So was that initially like you went right into the taxi squad, had to quarantine and all that?
Well, so I had a quarantine for like 7 days, and then I went to the taxi squad, and that was just like basically just like getting bag skated for a week, which was tough. But I had to get back into shape because I was in a hotel room for 7 days, and it was tough, not really doing anything. So I practiced and got bag skated for a week, and then made my NHL debut versus Tampa at home. So that was pretty cool.
You mentioned the quarantine, being stuck in there for 7 days, but it's not just that. It's also being stuck in there and knowing that you're your NHL future
Yeah.
is lying directly ahead of you. Like that anxiety
Yeah.
has to be through the roof.
Well, I knew that like I was gonna like definitely get some practices in and stuff, but but yeah, I think it was good for me to like I think I watched like 5 or 6 games from up top and just watching the game from up top and kind of seeing like the pace of play and stuff, but also practicing and I think those bag skates were good for me obviously because I needed to get back into shape. But yeah, it was definitely stressful. Like when Jeremy Colleton told me that he told me at practice the day before the game, he's like, "Hey, you're going tomorrow," and I was like, "Oh man, this is." So I was definitely scared, but it was good. It was just like I worked my whole life to play in that game, so I feel like anyone's gonna be nervous to play. But no, it was a fun game. We lost, but no, it was cool to play against the defending Stanley Cup champs. So that was pretty cool.
And on your first NHL goal, the first guy to come congratulate you was Patrick Kane.
Yeah, that
How
was really cool.
that?
Mackenzie Entwistle made a great play where he just shot off the pad, and I was kind of right there to bang it home. But yeah, that was really cool. Like just to have him on the ice with me when I scored, and then it was a pretty cool photo of me like with him. So yeah, that was awesome. And I think I honestly kind of blacked out during it. Like I didn't really remember much. I was just kind of right there, kind of at the right place at the right time. So. But yeah, that was something I'll obviously never forget.
How much does that make you want to get one in front of like a non-COVID crowd?
Yeah,
now?
well, actually, they had they had some fans in there actually. So, but yeah, I definitely want to. I only have one right now, so I definitely want another one. So, yeah.
I read an article that where you're quoted as saying being undrafted was one of the best things that happened to you. Do you still think that?
Absolutely. I remember that year in Kelowna. Like there was a couple teams that were talking to me, and I remember just wanting to like get drafted because I thought it'd be cool to get drafted, like all like the young kids do, whatever. And I remember not getting picked, and I was like pretty pissed off, like just upset, like whatever. And it was the best thing for me because when you're an undrafted kid in college, you can talk to any team you want, and they're not like if you're doing well, like you're basically. You can sign in a college whenever. Like a team might be like, hey, like a team like let's say Boston drafted me, like, and they're still really good, but they're like we don't like need a guy like you right now. Like we want you to stay all 4 years, or we can't sign you to this deal because our cap's all messed up. Like you can kind of pick whatever team you want to play at, but I just think that like being undrafted too, it's just like you're basically. Just the best part about it is like you can really pick any team you want to play at. So, but yeah, I remember just Chicago was one of the first teams I talked to my freshman year, and they were great, and I kind of just narrowed it down, but I thought Chicago was probably the best fit for me, just because they were kind of like in a rebuild, and yeah, I chose to sign with them, and I'm pretty happy that I did that.
Is it like a sliding scale? Like, is there a certain round where after that it's just better to be undrafted?
Yeah, people say like after like the 3rd round, I'd say, but like I don't really know. Like I know, so I have a couple buddies that like my buddy Aiden McDonough who played at Northeastern. He was a 7th round pick by the Canucks, and he had a great college career at Northeastern, and after his senior year, he played 6 games with the Canucks last year. So like. You can kind of say like, oh, like if you're a 7th rounder, like they don't like really necessarily care, but that's not true. Like if you play well in juniors or you play well in college, like they're going to sign you and you're going to play. Right. So, but yeah, no, I think for me though, I think like being undrafted was better. I think it's basically like, it's different for everybody, but I'm definitely happy that I was undrafted for sure.
Is it weird to have one of your buddies who's just coming out of college when you're in your 3rd full professional season?
No, I think like I think honestly like coming out early, like I'm kind of like playing in the minors. Like people always say like, oh, like why would you'd rather maybe play college than play in the minors? But I think like my game necessarily, like I think I'm happy I did that a little bit because I think that like. Especially like being my 3rd year, I think I've like kind of grown as a player, and just like systems wise and like D zone wise, I think like I've gotten better in small areas of the game that I wasn't better at like my first year pro. And so yeah, I mean, I think like you look at so many guys that have had great NHL careers, like they spend a little time in the minors, and they kind of like even like a guy like Corey Crawford, like we were talking about the other day, like he played 5 years in the AHL and he has an unbelievable NHL career. So I think everyone's different, and I think for my career, like I've never really been the best player. I think that I always needed a couple of years to kind of get acclimated, and where in college I kind of got a chance early on, and I kind of like just like drove with it, and we're necessarily like growing up, like I always needed a couple of years, like prep school a couple of years, juniors a couple of years, where like college I kind of like clicked early. But I think in pro, like I think being a third year guy, I feel like, I mean, it's kind of just all came together for me this year, and I'm pretty happy with how I've been playing. So, but yeah, I mean, I think it's been good for me to, play in the American League and hopefully get back up there.
At one of our media availabilities the other day, there was a reporter who said something to you and called you as one of the older guys, and you can't even do laundry or cook here. I mean, you're 25 years old. Like, is that weird to kind of hear someone ask you like that?
I don't even necessarily like I might be an older guy on this team, but like, is 25 old? I don't even know if 25 is old. Like, so I mean, I was.
I'm 26, so if you're old, I'm old, right?
But I was just like, I mean, we have such a young team this year, so. I mean, I get it for sure. I'm a third year guy, and then we have so many second year guys. So, but I mean, if I'm thinking about old, I'm thinking about Cini, Gust, Baddock.
Just throwing them right under the bus.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they're getting close to their 30s.
A little long in the tooth. Yeah.
But no, I mean, I think like on our team, I'm kind of getting up there as an older guy, but I think on a lot of other teams, I'm probably like middle of the pack. So, yeah. I mean, by 25, oh man, yeah, I mean, 5 years till I'm 30, that's pretty scary. So,
yeah, well, this is a young team with the IceHogs, but before we kind of talk about this year, I want to bring up last year, because it was a much older team last season, and you had a guy like Buddy Robinson to learn from. He's another big body, veteran presence. What was it like kind of studying under him a little bit? Yeah,
it was really cool. Like first off, Buddy's a great guy. Like, there's not a guy in our room last year that didn't like him. Like he's such a good dude or whatever, and but obviously a great player as well. But he's played over 500 games in the American League. He's played close to 100 in the NHL. So just to learn from a guy like that and kind of pick his brain like during the year, it was awesome. And then when I got called up last year, we got called up together, and we were line mates. So that was awesome, and we were like in the hotel together. So we were basically just like with each other, like almost 24/7. Like, we were going to dinners together, going to practice together. So it was pretty cool to kind of be down here throughout the whole year, and then get called up together. So it was pretty cool. But I've talked to him a couple times during the year. I think he's enjoying the KHL. It's definitely different over in Russia, but I definitely miss him, and he definitely taught me a lot about just the American League and hockey in general.
Well, let's get to this season. I've asked you a couple times about this, but you've mentioned the work that you've put in this last offseason to get to the point where you're at now during this campaign, 14 goals, leading the team in that category. But what changed for you in the offseason? Was it in the weight room? Was it on the ice? Where were you making the adjustments?
I think on the ice, just confidence. I think this summer I was able to skate over at BU with a lot of NHL guys, like actually like Camesso skates there, and got to score on him a couple times, which was nice. But there was a lot of like NHL guys, like Bruins guys, like Marchand, McAvoy, Zaka, like a lot of great NHL players, and we were doing like just drills and scrimmages like all summer long, and I was making plays and playing pretty well, and I was just like, I think it's all confidence. Like, going into a year, like you're feeling good on the ice and you're doing it against guys who are really good NHL players. You're just like, I have that confidence. I can do this. And I think in anything you do, like if you don't have any confidence, like you're not going to do well at it. So I kind of got that confidence back that I had my first year here and then I had in college. And I kind of just said, like, I believed in myself that I'm a good player. And obviously, like, last year wasn't the year I wanted. Like, it was just snake bit. I couldn't score, and I kind of got in my own head, and it was a tough year for sure. But I think just put in the rearview mirror and just saying, hey, like, I'm going to go into next year and I'm going to be in the best shape of my life, and I'm going to, be the player I was my first year. And so far it's been going well, but still got, a lot of hockey games left. And I think it's all about just being consistent and being able to do that every game.
Have you found like, there's a different way you're playing this year compared to last year, maybe simplifying things?
I think a little bit. I think just trying to be around the net a lot more. And I think like last year I was, but I just think that like, I don't know. I think just more opportunity this year. I think the coaches gave me a lot more opportunity off the bat this year playing with, the first game playing with Joey Anderson and Bjorky, like, just two great players, and I was able to score in my first game. And I think scoring first game was huge. Like just being like, okay, like I got the first one out of the way, and like let's just start doing this and whatever. And so just playing with good players and getting power play time, and I think just playing a lot of minutes. Like my first game playing like, I remember just playing. I think I was playing like 18 minutes the first game, and I'm like, wow, like this feels good. Like I think just getting like the confidence from your coaches, like, hey, we're gonna play you a ton. Like now, just like just keep going with it. So. No, I think just it's been going good so far, but I think just I think just having confidence in myself, but also having confidence from the coaches, I think that just gives you an extra level of confidence to go out there and play.
Yeah, that first goal came in a 7-2 win out in San Jose.
Yeah.
I remember it. It was like a tic-tac-toe play with Bjork, Anderson, and you. Were you kind of thinking like, all right, this season's going to be nice?
It was such a good pass from Joey, and it was just, I think it might have been like my third or fourth shift too, which was so nice, just being able to pot one early in the game. So, I think just. We have a good group this year, and I think all of us believe we can make playoffs, and I think just we're on a 2-game winning streak right now. Just keep going with it, and you look at our standings right now, like everyone's pretty close. So, like last year, it'll come down to the last couple of games, and we just got to keep pushing here, and hopefully we have a good last 28 games.
Well, in these last couple of games, Anders Sorensen has put you with Cates and with Bjork, and that seems like a line that you guys appear to be like really defensively responsible, but also creating offense as well. And he's led off with you guys in a couple of games. What's it like playing? You mentioned with Bjork, but also with Catesy in the middle there, a great face-off guy.
Yeah, he's great. Last game. Opening shift wasn't awesome, but
it was at the start though. You guys got the puck down.
We had a great opening shift, and we got to cut a dash. That was tough, but no, yeah. I think like I've told you before. I think Catesy's a great player. Like he's such a good 200-foot player. Where like he is so good in the defensive zone, and then in the O zone too. Like he's really special. Like he's underrated like with skills. Like he. Really skilled player, but and then I think like we were talking about the other day, like, I think we all kind of bring something different to the table where I think we all kind of just read off each other, and it's been fun. I think we've played with each other the last like 3 or 4 games, and we've been clicking, so hopefully we can just keep doing that.
Earlier we were mentioning, you alluded to your roommates, Ryder Rolfson and George Messa. We were talking about you being one of the older guys. You are the old head in that apartment. What's it like living with those two?
Oh, it's pretty crazy. Rolly is something else for sure.
He's a DJ, right? He's got his keyboard.
He's an absolute clown. That's what he is. I'll come out of my room one day after taking a nap, and he's just like on his DJ table. It's just like, dude, what are you doing? So, but yeah, Messo is he kind of does his own thing. Like he's really mature for his age. And I think we just have so much fun. Like we're always chirping each other, like always giving each other crap, whatever. We're always we've been actually cooking a lot this year. Rolly's a really good. I will give Rolly credit. Like he's a pretty good cook. He cooks. We actually go to Mike or what's the Mike's Trade Right? Have you ever got steaks there before?
Is that Brian's?
Brian's. Oh my God!
Okay,
yeah, we might have to cut that out. Brian's Trade Right. But no, Brian. We go to Brian all the time to get steaks, and Rolly cooks really good steaks, whatever. And So I usually try to do the sides of the asparagus or.
They trust you with that, huh?
Yeah, of course. It's pretty easy to cook.
Hardy, you set
asparagus.
the table.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, we try to cook almost every night, and we usually put on either like a movie or like an NHL game, and yeah, we just have a blast. I think that's like part of the reason. Like, like my first year, I lived with Colin Delia, which was pretty awesome. I was able to live with him and his wife Ava and his son Sonny at the time, and he has another son right now, but it was just Sonny, and but yeah, that was a lot of fun. Like me and Deals would just chirp each other nonstop, and
he's a character.
Oh, he's a character, and like he would just always chirp me, and I would just laugh, whatever, and so I had a lot of fun that year off the ice, and I think it translated on. And last year I had an injury in training camp, so I came down here kind of at a tough time where like everyone kind of had their living situation. So I lived by myself, and I absolutely hated it. Like it was just, you're just by yourself like too much, I feel like. And I'm a guy that I kind of need to be around some of the boys or someone just to talk to. And so this year we're lucky to get a 3-bedroom place. And I know Comesso pretty well from back home. He lives like 5 minutes from me, and grew up playing with him. And we played golf quite a few times this summer. So I kind of told him like, yeah, in Rockford, like if we're both down there, like let's get a place or something. So, and Rolly coming in last year, we became pretty good buddies, and he's another college guy. So we found a 3-bedroom place, and it's been a lot of fun.
Love at first sight with those couple guys. So
yeah.
Are you guys like video gamers at all? Is
Not
anybody
at
playing?
all.
Oh, so you guys are just watching and
We're just
living in the moment.
We're basically go get coffee, come back home, and just talk hockey or just it's just we're just chirping each other 24/7. And but yeah, we honestly like I kind of love that we're not video game guys, because I think that's I'm not a big video game guy, and I think you're just like in your room 24/7 when you're doing that. And I think we're all kind of just like going with the flow, going to the grocery store, like getting coffees, just kind of chopping it. So I think it's been great. And like we're kind of like, me and Rolly are kind of the same in a way. Like, and Comesso is just like Comesso is like 3 or 4 years younger than me, and he's way more mature than me or Rolly. He's
an intellectual,
And Rolly thinks he's gonna be a DJ. Like he stinks. Like he's a terrible DJ guy. Like he thinks he's the man. Like I remember.
There's no way he's made it this far in the interview, right? If he's listening, so we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, exactly. Like he might be watching right now, but I don't even care. Like I tell him this to his face. So, but yeah, he thinks he's the man. Like with his headset, whatever. And me and Comesso kind of just shake our head. But yeah, no. Like Mess has been awesome, and I think like just trying to help out those two guys, like on a serious note, because like I think that it's way different than college, like pro hockey. Like just like you're playing a lot more games in pro, and like there's so many ups and downs throughout the season. Like I remember like when we had that tough losing stretch, like I think we got pumped by we got pumped by San Diego those 2 games, and they were both like this is nuts. Like and they were both on pretty successful college teams, so like you never lose 7-0 and then 5-1 on a weekend. Like so that was something new to get used to. And I think just trying to like tell them like, hey, like stuff like this happens. Like there's so many like peaks and valleys, and you just gotta come to the rink every day with a smile on your face and kind of be that happy-go-lucky that you are, even during a winning streak, and just work hard on the ice and have fun with it off. So and I think like both of them have been playing great so far, and they're having great rookie years. And I look at Rolly's got 9 tucks this year. He's been playing well. He wants that 10th one bad too. So and Messo has been playing great. Obviously, he's been stopping pucks for us, and obviously won last game. So, but yeah, just trying to help those guys out and kind of keep them under my wing, and yeah, so we have a lot of fun, that's for sure.
You guys look like you have fun together, and this is a really fun group, and this has been great chatting with you, Hardy. One more question before I cut you loose here. I wanted to ask about Corey Crawford night. That was a couple nights ago as we sit here and record this now. But a sold-out barn, a physical, emotional game, and you had Crow in the building as well. What was that like? Can you kind of peel the curtain back from the player's perspective?
It was really cool. It honestly reminded me of a playoff game here. Like in the past 2 years, being lucky enough to play in playoff games, and it was sold out. The fans were awesome. But before the game, like seeing a guy like Corey Crawford, a guy that I watched like basically my whole life playing, and watching him on TV and watching him win cups and having him like, talk to us and talk to the fans. It was really cool. And then before the game, him reading the lineup sheet and being able to like meet him, it was awesome. And that was really cool to get a win for him, and having it be a sold out packed barn, it just made it a lot better. And we were on a bit of a 7-game skid there, so it was nice to kind of get that huge win versus the Wolves, who has basically had our number this year. I think they've beat us 5 times in a row, and then being able to beat them 2-1 in a close game and having it be a packed barn, it was unreal.
And you can mention the 2 goals that you scored.
I wasn't going to mention it, but I mean, yeah, if you're going to mention it, yeah.
Were you kind of looking up next to Corey's 29 and just thinking like 86 could go
No,
up there too?
that number will never be up there. But no, Corey's he had a hell of a career, and he obviously won 2 Stanley Cups, and he had a great career in Chicago, and it was pretty cool to be a part of that jersey retirement, and just kind of seeing the ins and outs of it. It was awesome.
Well, Hardy, it's been a lot of fun to watch you this week.
Yeah.
Watch you this season so far. We wish you the best of luck going
Thank
forward,
you.
and we'll have to have you back on.
Hey, I'd love to come back on and tell some more. Hopefully, we get some more stories from the apartment. So,
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Real quick, a favorite road city?
Like in conference or like
No. Throughout that you've been to in the AHL.
San Diego. San Diego. I mean,
That's a layup.
It was a layup, but in conference, I got to say, I'd have to say
In division, yeah.
In division, Grand Rapids.
Okay.
Grand Rapids is a cool city. I
Walkable,
think.
a lot of good food spots.
Yeah, a lot of good food spots, and it's it's just an underrated city. So I don't think too many people know about GR, but yeah, it's a really cool city to play in, and kind of night before go get dinner, a couple cool spots. So yeah.
All right, thanks, Hardy.
Yeah, thank you.
That guy brings a lot of levity and a lot of fun to this IceHogs dressing room. It's his 3rd year with Rockford. Even though he's only 25, he feels like one of the veterans on the team. So glad that we were able to get about 40 minutes or so with Hardy. Great chatting with him. Again, like we said, 2 home games coming up for Rockford this weekend in the state line. A lot of February games for the Hogs. Rockford's in the middle of a stretch of 9 days in which the team plays 6 games. So the boys are staying busy. They're playing a lot of hockey. Rockford's trying to push ahead and maybe gain some ground in the Central Division standings as it sits right now. The Hogs are in 4th place, trying to chase down Grand Rapids and Texas directly ahead of them. But enjoyed our chat with Hardy. That wraps things up for episode 10 of Hog Talk. We'll see you next time, and we'll hope to see you at the BMO Center this weekend as well.